now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hulk
TV.
School for the gifted and the elect.
Peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes. You know the vibes. It is I, the inevitable, the incredible Hulk, and this is Hawk School for the gifted and the elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Let's go ahead and get started before we even get to an intro. The topic is Scottish Highlanders and quote-unquote Native Americans. We'll be taking a look at a lecture on the topic. We'll also be taking a look at some books from the 1800s as well as the 1700s and some other valuable sources to give us some insight into this veiled and occult history of America. Let me read. Scottish Highlanders and Native Americans, historical documents, photographs, and modern bloodlines. Both Highland clans and American Indian societies underwent parallel experiences on the peripheries of Britain's empire and often encountered one another on the frontier. Indeed, Highlanders and American Indians fought, traded, and lived together. Both groups were treated as tribal peoples, remnants of a barbaric past, and eventually forced from their ancestral lands as their traditional food sources, cattle in the Highlands and bison on the Great Plains, were decimated to make way for livestock farming in a familiar pattern. The cultures that conquered them would later romanticize the very ways of life they had destroyed.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind.
The weapons I wield are not of this world. They carry divine power, capable of demolishing any stronghold that stands in my way. Right now, I dismantle arguments and pretensions that oppose me in the knowledge of God.
In your modern time where you see people wearing plaid, and they're mainly Caucasian people, fair skin, pale skin complexion people, wearing plaid as their traditional outfit, no, it was not. It is part of your original custom that was assumed when you got swept out of Europe, Scotland in particular.
Predominantly, going to look at Irish or Scottish people, the Scottish people up here, because I live in Scotland, I'm from the UK, I'm from London, but I live right in the north of Scotland, in the Highlands, which was predominantly invaded by the Vikings. But the people up in this sort of area have they have a darker pigmentation to the skin, but then I think that originates from northern and sort of mid-Spain.
Say hello to my little friend! Wanna play rough? Okay. Okay,
I thought you were a black guy.
Hey.
You're Indian?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
You gotta be
What kind
kidding me.
of Indian are you?
Like Tonto?
Subscribe to the unconquered tribes. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hulk School
TV.
for the gifted and the elect.
Peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes. Put some gems in the chat if you can hear me loudly and clearly. And we'll get into it. All right, we got quite a bit to cover. All right, quite a bit to cover, actually. Shout out to you for showing up. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to you. where shall we begin? All right. Where shall we begin? Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. All right. We do have quite a lot of dots to connect, and I actually forgot we also will be reading from white people, Indians, and Highlanders, tribal people and colonial encounters in Scotland and America. All right, so we got quite a few book titles for you today. All right. We also have a description of the Western Isles of Scotland. All right. We're also going to be, yeah, go ahead. We also have Ancient and Modern Britons, a retrospect, Volume 1, and that's published 1884, I believe.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man?
And if you're not aware, that's Glasgow. All right, that's a university. All right, Glasgow, where a very well-known gentleman by the name of James McCoon Smith, all right, earned his medical degree there. All right. Went to attend Glasgow University during the 1830s. All right. So quite an extensive history, but that's not what we came to talk about. All right. We're going to get into this book, White People, Indians, and Highlanders. Put some gems in the chat if you can hear me loudly and clearly, and if you're a member, put some hawks in the chat. You know what I'm talking about?
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man?
And before we actually get into the, what's the word for it? Before we actually get into the video, all right, because we also have a lecture. So this might be a while, all right? This might be a while. And again, we're going to, I think we'll begin with the preface from this book, all right, because I've been meaning to bring this book, you know, to the surface and get more into it. We have so much to cover that, like I said, we might not do like too much, but I believe the preface speaks volumes actually, and it'll give us a place to begin with the other videos. The other reading materials, because this is 1730, and before we get into the video, all right, and this is actually from a doctor, all right, and a Shawnee tribal member of the Cherokee Nation, all right. But before we see what she has to say, I thought we should at least lay down a foundation of who we're talking about, just because I haven't seen the video, although I'm very interested in it, and I just want to make sure that we're not misled, right? I want to keep this video whole and complete. I want the lesson to be complete, you know, because a lot of people have been giving a false history on the topic of Scotland, right? So as a Scot, right, an American Indian and a Scot, I think it's pertinent, right, that we show and prove, right, and preserve this history, because we come from a long line of great orators, right?
Wow, Indian TV. For the gifted and the elect.
So let's go ahead and read from this preface. And if you are a member, a description of the Western Isles of Scotland, as well as the ancient and modern Britain, will be in the membership link. All right. In the membership section. All right.
And it's known as written that the righteous shall inherit the kingdom of God, the earth. And the wicked shall be shaken out.
In the 1730s, the trustees of Georgia Colony recruited Highlanders from the north of Scotland. All right, stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. All right, we're not going to do the music, okay? The music is... All right. They voted the music off the island. All right. The music has been voted off the island. All right. We got too serious of a lesson. All right, we got too much to cover. I digress. In the 1730s, the trustees of Georgia Colony recruited Highlanders from the north of Scotland to serve as, you probably want to see this, to serve as farmer soldiers on the frontier against the Spaniards and Indians in Florida. When war broke out between Britain and Spain, I'm getting all types of alerts. All right, they don't like this, folks. American Indians and Celtic Highlanders together, as non-whites made sense to 18th century Englishmen, as it did to many Scottish lowlanders. This book examines the common ground that Highlanders and Indians shared as tribal people living on the edge of an English-speaking Atlantic world. All right. Describes their experience as colonialism and capitalism changed their environments and explores the interactions in a new American milieu. It considers the way in which colonialism reconstructed histories, all right, and images of Highlanders and Indians, histories and memories of oppression and resistance shaped identities in Britain and America, and Highlanders shed their quote-unquote non-white status in part by empire building in North America. Though ultimately divergent, the historical experiences of Highland Scots and American Indians are initially comparative and often connective. There are thousands of books on Scottish history and Indian history. Scottish studies, like Native American studies, has undergone a florescence in the past generation, and this book benefits from the recent revival, particularly the new attention to the role of Scots in the Atlantic world and the British Empire. In addition, Scottish connections with America and the impact of Scottish individuals, ideas, and influences on American and Canadian culture in particular, and the world in general, all right, have all received considerable and sometimes exaggerated attention. Some works identify people of Scottish origin or ancestry as having had an effect out of proportion to their numbers. Others emphasize Celtic influences, especially on the history and the culture of the American South. Wait, what? But few works examine relations between Indians and Scots, and fewer still are well grounded in the history of both people, placing specific encounters in a comparative setting that involves the British Isles, Canada, and the United States. This book illuminates, and complicates understandings of Scotland and America, imperialism, and Indians. Some studies of empire take a global canvas, and most examine relations between center and periphery. This book does something else. It traces the experience of two groups